Hello friends, today we are going to start our new chapter, life processes. In this, the first life process is nutrition. The first point is all living things perform certain life processes like growth, excretion, respiration, circulation, reproduction, etc. It means that all living organisms require some of the life processes for the normal functioning of their body. The second point is the basic functions performed by the living organisms for their survival and body maintenance are called as life processes. So this is the definition of life process, in which whatever the basic functions which are required for the normal functioning of the body, for the survival of any living organism, and for the body maintenance of the living organism are called as life processes. Here third point is basic life processes in this chapter are: the first one is nutrition, the second one is respiration, the third one is transportation, and fourth one is excretion. So these are the four life processes. We have to go in detail about these life processes in this chapter. In this video I only covered the nutrition type of life process in detail. So the in the next slide we'll start about nutrition. Nutrition. The process of ingestion and using the food for energy in living organism is called as nutrition. This is the definition of nutrition, in which the process of ingestion means the process of taking food inside the body and using that food for energy in the living organism is called as nutrition. There are various needs or benefits of nutrition, in that the first need of nutrition is to supply the energy required for work done. Actually, all living organisms perform certain work, and to do work, energy is required. This energy is supplied with the help of nutrition. The second need of nutrition is growth and development of the body. Actually, all living organisms perform growth as well as body development. So, for the growth and for the body development of the living organisms, nutrition is required. The third need of the nutrition is to replace the damaged cells and repair tissues. So here, actually, in case of accidental case or due to wear and tear, the certain cells and tissues get damaged. So to recover all these damaged tissues as well as cells, nutrition is required. And a fourth need of nutrition is to fight against diseases. So in case of living organisms, their body get suffer from number of diseases. So in that case, the nutrition is helpful to fight against the diseases. In the next slide, our next point is modes of nutrition. There are two modes of nutrition. The first mode of nutrition is autotropic nutrition, and second mode of nutrition is heterotropic nutrition. In case of autotropic nutrition, the definition is the type of nutrition in which organisms produce their own food and nourish themselves is called as autotropic nutrition. So already we have some knowledge about the autotropic nutrition. Means all green plants perform autotropic nutrition. All green plants synthesize their own food with the help of photosynthesis process. That's why they are called as autotrophs, and such type of nutrition called as autotropic nutrition. The example of autotropic nutrition is all green plants and certain bacteria. In case of heterotropic nutrition, the definition is the type of nutrition in which some organisms depends on other organism for their food is called as heterotropic nutrition. Actually, in this case, apart from green plants, whatever the organisms present on earth are nothing but heterotrophs. Heterotrophs means those organisms that depends on other organism for their food are called as heterotrophs, and such type of nutrition is called as heterotropic nutrition. The examples of heterotropic nutrition are animals and fungi. In the next slide, we have to go in detail about the autotropic nutrition. So, the organisms that produce their own food by the process of photosynthesis are called as autotrophs. Already we covered this point. Autotrophs means those organisms that synthesize their own food with the help of photosynthesis process are called as autotrophs. So after this point, we have to go in detail about the photosynthesis process. What is photosynthesis? So here definition of photosynthesis is given. In that case, the process in which green plants produce their own food with the help of carbon dioxide and water in presence of chlorophyll and sunlight is called as photosynthesis. So this is the definition of photosynthesis. In this case, all green plants requires four main things for the photosynthesis process. The first thing is carbon dioxide, second thing is water, third thing is chlorophyll, fourth thing is sunlight. So these are the four things, major things required for the photosynthesis process. If any one of the above raw material is absent, in that case the photosynthesis cannot happen in the plants. So after this point, our next point is process of photosynthesis. So how this photosynthesis process occurs in case of plants, we have to go in detail about this. The first point in the process, for the photosynthesis to occur, carbon dioxide, water, sunlight and chlorophyll are required as raw material. So already we covered this point. For the photosynthesis process, the raw materials are carbon dioxide, water, sunlight and chlorophyll. Okay. So the second point here is sunlight provides energy. Chlorophyll is used to absorb the sunlight. Carbon dioxide is reduced to carbohydrates, and water is oxidized to release oxygen. Actually, uh, above four raw materials has some of the specific functions. In that first one, sunlight is only utilized for availability of energy in case of plants. The second thing is chlorophyll is used to trap the solar energy or sunlight from the sun. The third one is carbon dioxide get reduced into carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are nothing but food which is required for the plants. That's why they are called as autotrophs, because they synthesize their own food in the form of carbohydrates. And there is an byproducts of photosynthesis which is very necessary for the animals, okay, which are depend on the oxygen. That is, water is oxidized to release into oxygen. So oxygen is produced by the oxidation of water in case of photosynthesis process. The third point here is water is taken up from the soil through the roots. So in case of plants, all these four raw materials are availed with the help of number of processes. In that case, first one, water is absorbed through the roots from the soil. The fourth point here is the site where photosynthesis occur is known as chloroplast. So the fourth point mentioned that in case of green leaves of the plants, whatever the green color is because of chlorophyll pigment present in it. Actually, this pigment is present inside the chloroplast. So chloroplast are the cell organelles present in the plant cell. So in case of living things, in case of leaves, the chloroplast is present, and within the chloroplast, green colored pigment, that is chlorophyll, is present. The fifth point here is that chloroplast contain green color pigment known as chlorophyll, which traps the sunlight from the for the photosynthesis process. So here the chloroplast are the cell organelles, and chloroplast contains chlorophyll, which is a green pigment, and that help in the trapping the solar energy from the sun. In the next slide, here in brief, there are steps of the photosynthesis given. Okay, so there are four main steps in case of photosynthesis. The first step is absorption of light by chlorophyll. Second step is conversion of light energy into chemical energy. Third step is splitting of water into hydrogen and oxygen. And fourth step is reduction of carbon dioxide into carbohydrates. So these are the four steps which are very necessary for the photosynthesis process. And with this means with the help of these four steps, there is production of carbohydrates as well as oxygen occurs in case of green plants. So our next point, that is photosynthesis reaction. Here the photosynthesis reaction is given, that is CO2 plus H2O, it gives C6H12O6 plus O2. It means that carbon dioxide plus water gives sugar, that is carbohydrates, plus oxygen. So in this case, in this reaction, on the arrow, we can see the sunlight, that is sun's energy, and here the green colored dots that show the presence of chlorophyll pigment. So all these things are required for the photosynthetic reaction. The sixth point here is that leaves contain small opening called as stomata, which help in the exchange of gases. So, in case of plants, the green leaves perform the photosynthesis process. So, within the green leaves, actually on the lower epidermis of the leaves has many pores. That pores are called as stomata, and the stomata help in the exchange of gases. So, this is very important point in the in this case. So apart from leaves, the seventh point is along with these leaves, exchange of gases also occur through the stem and roots. So this is very important point here. In case of plants, the exchange of gases occurs through the three part of the plants. The first part is the leaves, the second part is the stem, and third part is the roots. So the the part means in case of leaves, the exchange of gases occurs with the help of stomata. In case of stem, the exchange of gases occurs with the help of lenticels. Lenticels are nothing but that structures found on the stem help in the exchange of gases, and root hairs are the structures present on the roots help in the exchange of gases. We can see the schematic representation of the photosynthesis in this diagram. In this case, the green colored leaves are shown, and in the green colored, you can see the figure in the schematic representation of the this photosynthesis in the above figure. The green colored part shows presence of leaf. On the leaf, chlorophyll that traps the energy to make food. So this green leaf absorb light, water, and carbon dioxide. With the help of these three things, the green leaves produce the food as well as oxygen. So we can see the red colored arrow here. The straight red colored arrow indicates the formation of carbohydrates, that is food, which the straight actually sorry the straight red colored arrow indicates formation or byproduct, that is oxygen, which is given off into the air. The bent red colored arrow indicates synthesis of sugar, that is carbohydrates, which are converted into starch, and that starch are stored food in other part of the plants. Actually, in case of plants, the starch is stored in every part of the each and every part of the plant in the form of starch. Okay, starch is nothing but it is the converted form of the carbohydrates. The here, in case of below the starch, there is second point is given, it turns iodine dark blue. This is the indication test for the presence of starch in the leaves or in different part of the plant. Means actually when we drop a solution of iodine on the starch, then it show the blue coloration. So presence of blue coloration or indication of blue coloration indicates that presence of starch in the particular part of the plant. So this is the schematic representation of the photosynthesis, as well as here we already discussed the number of things. Whatever the diagram present below, that a plant presence of leaf, presence of roots, we can see the different part of the plants. The green, we can see the green colored leaves absorb the sunlight from the sun. Oxygen is released into the air as a byproduct. Carbon dioxide is absorbed through the stomata of the leaves. The roots absorb the water with the help of root hairs. So this is the schematic representation of the photosynthesis, and we already discussed in detail. Our next slide is, in the next slide, eighth point. In, in stem, gases exchange occurs with the help of lenticels, and in roots, root hairs help. So whatever the point, the seventh point, we already covered the seventh point. In the seventh point, we discussed about the different part of the plants that help in the exchange of gases. Actually, there are three part of the plants that help in the exchange of gases. The first part is leaves, the second part is stem, and third part is roots. So in case of leaves, stomata help in the exchange of gases. In case of stem, the lenticels, here the eighth point indicates these lenticels present on the stem help in the exchange of gases, as well as the root hair present on the roots help in the exchange of gases. So the next point is, in plants, extra amount of carbohydrates are stored in the form of starch. So this is very important point here, because in case of plants, whatever the synthesized carbohydrates, they are not completely absorbed by the plants, or they are not completely consumed by the plants. Whatever the required quantity of carbohydrates are consumed by the plants, and whatever the extra amount of the starch is stored in different part of the plant, or each and every part of the plant in the form of starch. The 10th point here is that in animals, extra amount of carbohydrates are stored in the form of glycogen. So this is very important point in case of animals or in case of human body also. In humans or in other living organisms or animals, the extra amount of glucose or this carbohydrates are stored in the form of glycogen. So glycogen is the storage house, or it is the converted form of the glucose, and this conversion occurs in the liver in case of human being or in all animals. So after this, our next point is stomata. Stomata, already we discovered about this stomata. The tiny pores present on the surface of leaves are called as stomata. This is the definition of stomata. Tiny pores present on the surface of leaves are called as stomata. The second point here is that stomata, this is the plural word, and stoma is the singular word. So stomata is surrounded by guard cell. Here we can see the diagram of stomata. In the diagram, at the center we can see a gap. That gap is nothing but the opening of stomata. And that gap at the center, that gap is surrounded by two green colored cells called as guard cells. We can see the indication here. The guard cells are kidney shaped structures. Two kidney shaped structures are present end to end. That's why the central opening get opened or closed as per requirement. So see the second point in case of stomata. Stoma or stomata is surrounded by guard cell which guards the opening and closing of the stomata. Okay, so guard cell are nothing but the means they provide security for the opening and closing of the stomata. Means whatever the opening and closing of the stomata occurs with the help of guard cells only, and guard cells are green colored. Guard cells are green colored. The photosynthesis process also performed by the guard cell itself. Or third point is when guard cells absorb water, then they swell and open the stomatal pores. Okay, so this is a very important point. When guard cells absorb the water, then it swells and opens the stomata. And in reverse case, if the guard cells loses the water, then they shrink and it will close the stomatal pores. See, actually this is the difference, means both points are completely opposite points. When guard cell absorb water, then they swell and there is opening of the stomata occurs. In a opposite case, when guard cell loses water, then they shrink and they closes the stomatal opening or pores. So this is a very important point you have to keep in mind. So after this point, our next point is functions of stomata. The first function of stomata is exchange of gases. Already we know about the stomatal pores. The first function is exchange of gases, and the second function is it loses the large amount of water during transpiration and helps a flow of water. Okay, so this is very important point. This is very important function of the stomata. We have to just go in detail about this second function. Actually, that whatever the function, whatever the second function given here is that it is called as transpiration. Transpiration process means it occurs in case of plants. Transpiration means the loss of water in the form of water vapor through the stomatal opening. In the form of water vapor through the stomatal opening is called as transpiration, and this transpiration process occur with the help of stomatal opening itself. So this is the second function of the stomata. So up to this slide, we covered the autotrophic type of nutrition. From next slide, we have to start the heterotopic nutrition. So the first point here is that the type of nutrition in which some organisms depends on other organisms for their food is called as heterotopic nutrition. The examples are animals and fungi. So in this case, already we discussed about the definition of the heterotopic nutrition. The second point here is that in this mode of nutrition, an organism is unable to synthesize its own food. Okay, means apart from autotrophs, whatever the remaining organisms are heterotrophs. That's why they cannot synthesize their own food. For the food, they depends on another organisms. That is, suppose in case of herbivores depends on grass or that producers. After that, the primary consumers are carnivores. Carnivores depends on herbivores. So in this way, heterotopic nutrition seen. There are three types of heterotopic nutrition. Our next point is types of heterotopic nutrition. The first type of heterotopic nutrition is holozoic nutrition. The second type is saprophytic nutrition, and third type is parasitic nutrition. So these are the main three types of the heterotopic nutrition. In this case, the first one is holozoic nutrition. Holozoic nutrition is a type of nutrition where organisms take in whole food and digest it inside the body. The example for the holozoic nutrition are amoeba, human, etc. In case of holozoic nutrition, an organism take whole food inside the body and digest within the body itself. So in case of human in case of human being, uh, we consume or we chew the whole food with the help of mouth, and after swallowing it is get digested inside the stomach. So such type of nutrition is called as holozoic nutrition, means the process of taking that those organisms that consume whole food and digest within the body are called as or is called as holozoic nutrition. Saprophytic nutrition, second type is saprophytic nutrition, is a nutrition in which organisms feed on dead and decaying matter. So example for the saprophytic nutrition is fungi like bread mold, yeast and mushroom. Saprophytic nutrition means those organisms that depends on dead or decaying organisms for their food. After decomposition of dead organisms or after decomposition of decaying matter, whatever the food, whatever the nutritive material present inside their body, it is get consumed by the such organisms. So such organisms show the saprophytic type of nutrition. The examples of the saprophytic nutrition are fungi like bread mold, yeast and mushroom. Our third type of nutrition is parasitic nutrition. So parasitic nutrition is a nutrition in which an organism live inside or outside the body of other organism and derive nutrition from it. So in case of parasitic nutrition, the organism live remain inside the body or outside the body of an organism, and derive their nutrition, or it absorb the nutrition from the host body. Actually, here we can see the guest and host relationship. Guest means actually host means it is the animal's body or plant's body, and on the animal's body and plant's body there is a guest. Guest means it is the organism that show the parasitic nutrition. It is called as parasite. So the examples of parasitic nutrition or the examples of parasites are Cuscuta. Cuscuta is the amarvel. Amarvel in case of plants, this is the example of the parasitic nutrition. The second example is tick. Third one is the orchid. Fourth one is the lice, leeches, tapeworm, etc. So they are the various examples of the parasite that show the parasitic nutrition. In the next slide, we'll start about the nutrition in animals. So this is very important because we already covered the nutrition in plants, and we have to start about the nutrition in animals. So in case of nutrition in animals, there are 5 steps involved from ingestion to egestion. The first step in case of nutrition in animals is ingestion. The second step is digestion. Third step is absorption. Fourth step is assimilation. Fifth step is egestion. So in this case, ingestion means the process of taking food inside the body. Food is taken into the body with the help of ingestion process. The second step is digestion. Digestion means conversion of food into simpler soluble forms. Means whatever the complex, whatever the food we eat, that food is nothing but complex form of that food, and this complex form of food is converted into simple form with the help of digestion process. Here we can say the example, carbohydrates is the complex form and glucose is the simple form. So carbohydrates are converted into glucose with the help of digestion process within the body. This is the second digestion process. Third one is the absorption. After digestion process, there is transfer of soluble food into the blood. This the process occurs in the intestine of our in case of human being. In case of human being, absorption process occurs in the intestine. Means whatever the digested food get absorbed with the help of intestine, and this is nothing but transfer of soluble food to the blood. Okay, from whatever the nutrients present inside the food, with the help of digestion process the nutrients are available, and nutrients are available, and these available nutrients are absorbed into the blood. The fourth step is assimilation. Assimilation means utilization of absorbed food by the cells and tissue for energy production, growth and repair. So this is the very important process in case of nutrition. Assimilation means after absorption of soluble food into the blood gets circulated to each and within the body toward each and every cell. So within the cell, that food is utilized for the energy production, growth, and repair for the body maintenance. So this is the fourth step, and fifth step is egestion. So egestion means the removal of waste products and undigested food from the body. Means after consumption of food, whatever the waste material remain inside the body, it get removed with the help of process called as egestion. So in the next slide, we have to see or we have to discuss about the type of nutrition in animals. In that, the first type is holozoic nutrition. We have to go in detail about the holozoic nutrition. The nutrition in the amoeba. The first example for the holozoic nutrition is nutrition in amoeba. In the nutrition in amoeba, the first point is amoeba shows holozoic type of nutrition. Already we know about that. Holozoic type of nutrition means the process of taking whole food inside the body and digest inside the body, called as holozoic nutrition. So amoeba shows holozoic type of nutrition. The second point is amoeba moves with the help of finger-like projections called as pseudopodia. Uh, the In the slide we can see the diagram of the amoeba. Actually, whatever the curvature or whatever the that projections found on the body of the amoeba. These projections are called as finger-like projections are called as pseudopodia. So that pseudopodia help in the movement or for the locomotion purpose in case of amoeba. So the third point is the pseudopodia help to take food inside the body of amoeba. So within the diagram we can see in the first diagram A, that is called as ingestion. In the first diagram, the ingestion process we can see. In that case, the pseudopodia shows finger-like projections. Pseudopodia shows finger-like projections, and within the finger-like projection, the food particle is trapped. So this trapping of food particles occurs with the help of finger-like projections of pseudopodia. The fourth point is it surrounds the food particle from all sides and form food vacuole. In the figure, the second small b forming food vacuole, we can see the process. So in that case, the finger-like projections close up. In the second diagram, we can see the pseudopodia, the finger-like projection get close up. That's why there is formation of food vacuoles occurs. Vacuole means it is the empty space that is formed inside the body of the amoeba, and within that empty space, there is a food particle is present. So fifth point, see the fifth point. Inside the food vacuole, complex substances are digested into simple substances with the help of different enzymes. So in case of third diagram, C, that is digestion, the food vacuole is formed. Within the food vacuole, food is present, and the food get digested with the help of number of enzymes within the amoeba body. Okay, we can see food get engulfed within the food vacuole, and there is digestion occurs with the help of different enzymes. The sixth point given is the undigested food is left behind and thrown outside the body of the amoeba. Whatever the means, suppose after digestion the digested food get absorbed inside the body of the amoeba, and undigested food get left behind and thrown outside the body of amoeba. This is the process called as egestion. So in the figure after C, we can see D figure. D figure, in that D figure, digested food diffuses into the cytoplasm. In the E, assimilation. Assimilation means it is the assimilation of digested food occurs, means whatever the digested food material get supplied to each and every part of the amoeba body. And after that, in the last figure, we can see the egestion. Egestion means the undigested food get thrown outside the body. So this is the complete explanation for the nutrition in amoeba. All these are the diagram we have to draw for if there is a question about this nutrition in amoeba. Amoeba shows holozoic type of nutrition, and this is very important point for the exam. In the next slide, we have to cover about the nutrition in human being. Human being also show holozoic type of nutrition because we already consume the whole food and digest within the body. That's why human beings show the holozoic type of nutrition. So in this case, human consists of alimenting canal which starts from mouth and ends at anus. Actually, because of complex section of the organisms, uh, every function, actually in case of amoeba, what all the functions, amoeba is a unicellular organism, that's why all the functions are carried out by single cell only. But in case of multicellular animals, because of complexation of the organism's body, there is complexity get increased, that's why the different functions are get specialized, and that's why here in case of human being the digestive system get produced because of evolution. So in case of digestive system, the digestive system in case of human being starts from mouth and ends on anus. So this is called as this tube like structure called as alimentary canal. Alimentary canal starts from mouth and ends on anus. So there are different parts of alimentary canal. The first part is mouth, the second part is pharynx, the third part is esophagus, the fourth part is stomach, the fifth one small intestine, large intestine, rectum, anus. These are the various parts of the alimentary canal. Here we can see the diagram. Within the diagram, we can see the mouth, second pharynx, third one esophagus, fourth one stomach, fifth one small intestine, sixth one large intestine, seventh one rectum, and last one anus. Along with this, the alimentary canal consists of digestive glands. The first digestive gland includes salivary gland, the second liver, and third one is the pancreas. In the diagram, we can see the salivary glands, the liver, as well as pancreas. So these glands are also very important for the digestion process in case of human being. The length of alimentary canal in case of human being is 9 meter. So keep in mind this is the length of alimentary canal. Our next point is structure and function of the digestive organs. So the first part of the alimentary canal is mouth. In the mouth, the first point is digestion of food starts with the help of salivary amylase in the mouth. Actually, mouth consists of 32 teeth. Actually, this the point about the teeth we already given in the next slides. With the help of teeth, the digestion process means large food particles, large food globules are converted into small food globules, or it is get broken down into smaller one. With the help of these teeth, the digestion process starts. But actually, this is the physical digestion process, means conversion of large food particle into smaller one. This is the physical uh, means digestion process. Actually, there is chemical digestion process also occurring in case of mouth. Okay, in case of mouth, there is an enzyme called as salivary amylase present in the saliva. So, with the help of salivary amylase, there is an digestion process starts within the mouth itself. The second point in case of mouth is food is chewed with the help of teeth and tasted with tongue. When we consume food bolus, then with the help of teeth we break down the large food particle into smaller one, and the tongue help in the tasting purpose of the food. The third point is after chewing and mixing the saliva, it is get gulped. So the tongue, the first function of tongue to taste that food, and the second function of the tongue to for the proper mixing of saliva, the tongue help in the means it act as mixer means it help in the mixing of saliva into the food. Okay, that's why the food becomes soft and it is easy to swallow. So after get chewing or mixing with the saliva, the food get engulfed into the uh, next part of the alimentary canal. The next part of alimentary canal is pharynx. So in case of pharynx, the first point is the food pipe or esophagus and windpipe or trachea both open into the pharynx. Actually, pharynx is the part of alimentary canal which is present behind the mouth called as pharynx. So within the pharynx, the windpipe and food pipe. There is a junction of windpipe and food pipe that is present in the pharynx. The second point is a small flap called as epiglottis guard the opening of trachea while gulping the food. Actually, the pharynx is the junction of food pipe as well as windpipe. So, during eating, if we consume the food during eating, what happens? That food get engulfed, and there is maybe possibility of entry of that food into the windpipe occurs. So to prevent this, there is an there is an process called as epiglottis is present. That epiglottis help in the prevention of passage of food into the windpipe. The second point is small, that is epiglottis. Okay. So next point is esophagus or food pipe. So esophagus, this is the next part of the alimentary canal. In that case, the first point is esophagus carry food from mouth to stomach with the help of peristaltic movement. So peristaltic movement are necessary for the uh, passage of food from pharynx to stomach. So with the help of peristaltic process, there is the passage of food occurs. The lining of the second point is the lining of alimentary canal has muscles that can rhythmically contract and relax called as peristaltic movement. So there is definition about the peristaltic movement given. Peristaltic movements means actually the lining of the alimentary canal has certain muscles that help in contraction and relaxation, rhythmic contraction and relaxation of the muscles. So with the help of that rhythmic contraction and relaxation, this peristaltic movement occurs, and that's why food get passed from pharynx to stomach. So after this, the next part of alimentary canal is stomach. In the stomach, the first point is the widest sac-like part of the alimentary canal. So stomach is the largest sac-like part of the alimentary canal. The second point is it has gastric glands that secrete gastric juice. So the wall of the stomach has gastric glands. That gastric glands help in the secretion of gastric juice. Actually, the gastric juice consists of three main secretions. We can see on the next slide. The third point in case of stomach is the gastric juice consists of three main secretions. The first one is the hydrochloric acid. The second one is the pepsin. Third one is the mucus. So the first point is the hydrochloric acid creates acidic medium in stomach, which facilitates the action of pepsin enzyme. So within the stomach, there is availability of acidic condition for the complete digestion or for the partial digestion of the food. So this acidic condition is provided with the help of hydrochloric acid, which is present inside the gastric juice. The fifth point is pepsin help in the digestion of some proteins. Actually, the function of pepsin is for the digestion of proteins, and for the digestion of proteins require acidic condition. This it means that uh, for the action of pepsin, the hydrochloric acid provides acidic medium. The sixth point is the mucus protects the inner lining of the stomach from the action of hydrochloric acid. So this is very important point in case of stomach. Within the stomach, hydrochloric acid is secreted, so there may be chances of damage to the inner lining of the stomach. So means to avoid this, there is mucus is secreted. Mucus is secreted through the gastric juice, and this mucus protect the wall of the stomach from the action of the hydrochloric acid. That's why wall of the stomach get protected. The seventh point is churning and action of the gastric juice makes the slurry, which then goes into the small intestine. So because of action of gastric juice and because of churning of the food inside the stomach, it is get partially uh, digested, and because of this slurry is formed, and this slurry get pushed toward the next part of the alimentary canal, that is small intestine. The eighth point here is that the exit of food from the stomach is regulated by the sphincter muscles. So sphincter muscles are present at the lower end of the stomach. So these sphincter muscle help in the means backflow of the food. Means after passage of food to the small intestine, it cannot be get reversed because of sphincter muscles. So our next part is small intestine. The next part of the alimentary canal is small intestine. In the small intestine, the first point is it is the longest part of the alimentary canal having 6 meter length. So small intestine is the longest part of the alimentary canal which has 6 meter length. The second point, the length of the small intestine differ in various animals depending on the food they eat. So the length of alimentary canal, the length of small intestine is different in different animals depending on food that they eat. It means that in case of herbivores and in case of carnivores, You can see the next point. Third point is in herbivores, longer small intestine is present for the digestion of cellulose in grass. In case of herbivores means those organisms that eat the grass, or they are the primary consumers. So herbivores are the primary consumers that eat the green colored part of the plants. So within the green colored part of the plants, cellulose is present. This cellulose cannot be digested in case of human being, and in case of herbivores, that cellulose get digested. For the digestion of cellulose, there is a long small intestine is present. The fourth point is in carnivore animals, in carnivorous animals, shorter small intestine is present because meat is easy to digest. In case of carnivores, actually, carnivores are nothing but the those organisms, those animals that eat the primary consumers or herbivores. Okay, that is meat-eating animals are called as carnivores. So, in case of carnivores, short small intestine is present because the digestion of meat is easier than the digestion of cellulose. That's why shorter small intestine is present in case of carnivorous animals. The fifth point here is that small intestine is the site of complete digestion of food. Within the small intestine, this complete digestion of food occurs. That is, carbohydrates, proteins, and fats are completely digested. The sixth point is small intestine receives the secretion of liver and pancreas for complete digestion. So this is the important point for that. Small intestine receives the various secretions from liver and pancreas for complete digestion of the food. The seventh point is the food coming from stomach is acidic and has to be made alkaline for the action of pancreatic enzyme. So whatever the food, actually in case of stomach, the food is acidic. So this acidic food get passed toward the small intestine, and that food is within the small intestine. That food is acidic. So for the action of pancreatic enzymes, means the enzymes which are secreted by the pancreas, for the action of pancreatic enzyme, there is alkaline condition is required. So this alkaline condition is availed in the small intestine with the help of bile juice. So eighth point is the food is made alkaline with the help of bile juice, which is secreted by liver. Actually, bile juice is secreted by the liver. So this bile juice is dropped in the small intestine to make the food alkaline, acidic food alkaline. Our next point is bile juice also help in break down the large fat globule into small fat globules. So actually here there are two main functions of bile juice. The first function is to make the food alkaline, and second function is to convert or to break down the large fat globules into small fat globules. The next point is the pancreas secretes pancreatic juice, which contains three enzymes like trypsin, lipase, and amylase. So pancreas secretes pancreatic enzymes, and these pancreatic enzymes are released into the small intestine, which consist of three main enzymes. The first one is the trypsin, second one is the lipase, and third one is the amylase. So next point, 11th point, trypsin help in the digestion of proteins, lipase help in the digestion of emulsified fats, and amylase help in the digestion of carbohydrates. So these are the three enzymes present in the pancreatic secretions, and these three enzymes has different functions. The first one is the trypsin help in the digestion of the proteins, lipase help in the digestion of fats, that is emulsified fats, and amylase help in the digestion of carbohydrates. The 12th point is the wall of the small intestine contains the glands which secretes intestinal juices. So apart from all these glands, the intestinal glands also present within the wall of the small intestine. So 13th point is the enzymes present in it finally convert the protein into amino acid, carbohydrate into glucose, and fat into fatty acid and glycerol. So whatever the juices or whatever the secretions released by the intestinal glands, it finally convert the these proteins into amino acid, carbohydrates into glucose, and fats into fatty acid and glycerol. After that, our next point is villi. The inner lining of the small intestine has numerous finger-like projections called as villi. So this is a very important point. Actually, in case of small intestine, there are numerous finger-like projections called as villi, and these finger-like projections help in the absorption function. Okay, in case of small intestine. The second point in case of villi is villi increases the surface area for absorption of digested food in small intestine. So, because of finger-like projections, the surface area for the absorption of digested food increases, and this is the main function of villi. That is to increase the surface area and for the better absorption into the small intestine. The third point in case of villi is the villi are richly supplied with the blood vessels which take absorbed food to each and every cell in the body for obtaining energy. So villi are richly supplied with the numerous blood vessels so that whatever the absorbed food in the villi get supplied to each and every cell, and proper amount of energy get provided to each and every cell. Our next part of the alimentary canal is large intestine. In this case, the first point is the wider tube, the wider tubular 1.5 meter long large intestine absorb only water through the villi. So, in case of large intestine, also villi present, and uh, whatever the remaining part in the digested food contains water. That water acts as remaining part, and this water only absorbed in the large intestine. The second point here is that there is functionless appendices attached to the first part of the large intestine. Actually, this appendix is called as vestigial organ in case of human being, because there is no function, there is no use of appendix in our body. That's why functionless appendix is present in the first part of the uh, large intestine. In our ancestor, in human ancestor, the main function of appendix was digestion of cellulose. But in a later case, in later stages, because of discovery of fire, humans start to consume the cooked food, or instead of this, there is digestion of meat occurs. That's why the appendix becomes functionless, and in today's era, whatever the appendix present, it is only finger like appendix is present in the body, which is present in the first part of the large intestine. The third point here is that undigested matter is stored for some time and then through outside the body through anus. So, in case of small intestine, complete digestion of food occurs, as well as complete absorption of the nutrients occurs. In the large intestine, water get absorbed, and whatever the remaining uh, undigested food, it is stored for some time in case of large intestine, and it is get thrown outside the body through anus. So fourth point here is that the exit of anus is regulated by the anal sphincter muscles. So in case of anus, whatever the egestion process or removal of undigested food outside the body, this can be regulated with the help of anal sphincter muscles. So here, total alimentary, different part of the total alimentary canal are completed. Only the next part is remain, that is glands, different digestive glands. There are three different digestive glands present in the human body. The first one is the liver, second one is the pancreas, and third one is the salivary glands. So liver is the important gland in the alimentary canal, which is required for the secretion of bile juice. So first point in case of liver is it is the largest gland in the body. Okay, so this is very important point. This liver is the largest gland in our body. Second point is its main function is storage of glucose in the form of glycogen. See, in the previous slides we already covered about that point. The extra amount of carbohydrates are stored in the form of glycogen in case of animals. So this is the point given here in case of liver, means in the liver the main function is storage of glucose in the form of glycogen. This third point, liver secretes bile juice which is stored in gallbladder. So this is another function of liver. Liver secretes bile juice which is stored for temporary time. It is stored in the gallbladder. Gallbladder is the sac-like structure present beneath the liver. The fourth point is bile juice help in digestion of fats and make the food alkaline. So here the two functions of bile juice are given. The first function is it is the it makes the food alkaline, and second function is to digest the fats. Means large fat globules are converted into small fat globules for the digestion process. This is the first gland, that is liver. The second gland is pancreas. Pancreas secretes pancreatic juice. Actually, see, in case of pancreatic juice, there are three different enzymes are present. Which was that? The first one is the trypsin, second one is the lipase, and third one is the amylase. Trypsin helps in the digestion of proteins. Lipase help in the digestion of fats, and amylase help in the digestion of carbohydrates. So pancreas only secretes pancreatic juice. The third gland in case of digestive system is salivary gland. There are three pairs of salivary glands within the mouth. There are three pairs of salivary glands are present. uh, the second point is one pair is present near the ear. One pair of salivary gland is present near the ear. The second pair, that is one pair is near the pharynx, and one pair below the tongue. Okay, so these are the three pairs of salivary gland present. The first one is present near the ear, the second one is present near the pharynx, and third one is present near the or below the tongue. So third point is they secrete saliva which contains taline or salivary amylase. Actually, salivary gland secretes saliva, which is a secretion of salivary gland, and the saliva contains main enzyme, that is salivary amylase, or it is also called as taline. So this is the table. Important glands of digestive system. This is the table. The table brief about. First one is the organ, second one is the gland, third one is the secretion, and fourth one is the functions. Means different glands, their location as well as their secretion and their functions. So there are the various things are given in this table. Actually, whatever the glands we covered in previous part or previous slide, all these slides, all these glands, we have just briefly given here. So the first part is the mouth. Mouth contains gland called as salivary gland. The secretion of salivary gland is saliva. The enzyme present in the saliva is taline or salivary amylase. The function of saliva is conversion of starch into maltose sugar. So this is the first, that is digestion process starts from the mouth itself. So within the mouth, the conversion of starch into maltose sugar occurs with the help of salivary amylase. This is the digestion which is get started from the mouth itself. The second, that is stomach. Stomach contains three different glands. Actually, stomach contains liver. Stomach contains gastric wall. Stomach has gastric wall, and within the gastric wall, the gastric glands are present, and the gastric glands secrete gastric juice. Gastric juice contains hydrochloric acid, pepsin, mucus. So the main function of hydrochloric acid to make the food acidic. Actually, the acidic medium is required for the action of the pepsin enzyme. Okay, so this acidic condition is available only for the action of the pepsin enzyme. The second enzyme present in the gastric juice is pepsin. Pepsin, the function of pepsin is breakdown of proteins, and third enzyme present in the gastric juice is mucus. Mucus help in the protection of inner lining of the stomach from the hydrochloric acid. Okay, so hydrochloric acid uh, cannot damage the gastric wall from inner lining because of presence of mucus. So mucus gives protection to the wall of stomach from the action of hydrochloric acid. The next gland is liver. Liver is present in the abdomen. The secretion of liver is bile juice, and the bile juice has two functions: to make the food alkaline, first one, and the second one is the to convert the large fat globules into small fat globules. This process is called as emulsification of fat. Okay, so our third gland is pancreas. Pancreas is also present in the abdomen below the stomach. So pancreas secretes pancreatic juice. The pancreatic juice contains three different enzymes, that is trypsin, lipase, and amylase. The function of trypsin is to convert the protein into amino acid. The function of lipase is to convert the fat into fatty acid and glycerol. And the function of amylase is to convert the complex carbohydrates into simple sugar. So they are the various glands, their secretions and functions. So after this, our next organ is small intestine. The small intestine secretes intestinal juices. Number of intestinal glands are present in the wall of the small intestine that secrete the intestinal juices. So the function of intestinal juices to convert the protein into amino acid. Second function is to convert the complex carbohydrate into glucose, and third function is to convert the fat into fatty acid and glycerol. So these are the various point about the nutrition in animals as well as in case of human beings. Our next point is teeth. So teeth are present in the mouth. See here, there are different types of teeth are given. The first is there are four different type of teeth. The first one is the incisors, second one is the canines, third one is the premolars, and fourth one is the molars. So teeth are about 32 teeth are present in the mouth. There are four different types of the teeth. The first one is the incisors, second one is the canines, third one is the premolars, and fourth one is the molars. So they are the four different types of teeth are present in the mouth. The second point is each type of tooth has a specific function. So every teeth has particular function in the mouth. Third point is each tooth is covered by hard substance called as enamel. So every tooth is covered by, or each and every tooth is covered by the hard substance. So this actually in our body the hardest substance found is enamel. Enamel is the coating present around the teeth. Enamel is made up of calcium salt. So we can know about the content of toothpaste is calcium. Why? Because of presence of calcium in the toothpaste, our enamel gets strengthened because this enamel is made up of calcium salt. That's why toothpaste contains calcium in most proportion. The fifth point is saliva contains an enzyme called as ptyalin or salivary amylase. So this is the important point we already covered. The sixth point, saliva, this ptyalin convert starch into maltose sugar. This is another important point, that is salivary amylase or ptyalin convert the starch into maltose sugar. So there are the various points about the teeth. Our next point is functions of teeth. In the function of teeth, the first point is the process of digestion begins with function of teeth in mouth. We already discussed about the function of teeth. Actually the physical digestion in mouth occurs with the help of teeth. The second function of teeth is the food mixes with saliva and is easier to swallow. Because of teeth, because of tongue, the food get properly mixed with the saliva, and that's why such food bolus get easily swallowed or engulfed. That's why this is another function of the teeth. Our next point is enzymes. Enzymes are biological catalysts produced in the body to bring about the specific chemical reactions. Actually, enzymes, the different enzymes we already covered in different secretions of the glands. So enzymes are nothing but the biological catalyst that help in the proper digestion process to carry out the specific chemical reactions or biological reactions. The second point here is that digestive enzymes bring about the metabolic processes. Metabolic processes means digestive processes which are necessary in our digestion process, and that can be carried out with the help of enzymes. Our last point in case of nutrition is dental caries. Dental caries means tooth decay. So how this tooth get decayed, or there is damage to the tooth occurs. The first point in case of dental caries or tooth decay causes gradual softening of the enamel and dentine. So, because of tooth decay or because of dental caries, there is softening of the tooth occurs, and the enamel get damaged, or dentine is also get damaged. Dentine means it is the protein, actually it is the supportive structure present below the enamel. The second point here is tooth decay starts when bacteria acting on sugar produces acid that soften or demineralize the enamel. So, tooth decay starts when bacteria acting on sugar produces acid. Actually, see, when we eat certain food, or when we eat the sweet food, in that case the sugar is present on the, or sugar get trapped in the in between the tooth, and that sugar get attacked by the bacteria. When bacteria consumes that sugar, or whatever the food particle trapped in the food. Then during this there is a decomposition process starts, and because of that decomposition process there is a byproduct is synthesized called as acid. So this acid get means remains on the surface of the teeth, and because of that acid there is tooth decay starts. So the second point uh, gives an idea about this point. Tooth decay starts when bacteria acting on sugar produce acid that soften or demineralize the enamel. Our third point is masses of bacterial cell with food particles stick to the teeth to form dental plaque. Okay, when suppose food get trapped on the or in between the tooth, then there is a clump of bacteria as well as food remains on the tooth surface. So there is a masses of bacterial cells with food particles stick to the teeth and to form dental plaque. So such mass is called as dental plaque. Saliva cannot reach the tooth surface to neutralize the acid as plaque covers the teeth. The fourth point is saliva cannot reach the tooth surface to neutralize the acid as plaque covers the teeth. Actually, see, when bacteria consumes or they start to eat the sugars or food particle trapped in between the teeth, then they produces acid, and because of formation of dental plaque, whatever the acid synthesized, they directly react with the enamel, and our saliva cannot reach because there is a layer of plaque is formed on the surface of teeth. That's why acids start to decompose to the teeth. That's why enamel start to uh, this damage of the enamel occurs. Our fifth one is brushing the teeth after eating removes the plaque before the bacteria produce acid. So, to avoid the damage of our tooth, we have to brush regularly. Means daily we have to brush two times. Means at the time of morning and at the time of evening. Okay, if we brush uh, twice a day, then there's a removal of plaque occurs. That's why there's no acid uh, sustained on the teeth, and that's why no tooth decay occurs. Our last point is if untreated, microorganisms may invade the pulp, causing inflammation and infection. Suppose such tooth decay cannot be treated, then in that case the microorganisms invade